Hello and welcome guys, hope you are doing great. Revit 2026 version 0.2 has just been released and today we'll be going through it together. First off, when we install the software, the version up here should be saying 2026.2 and the build here should be looking like this, guys. Now, no new features or items have been added. Instead, some bugs are removed, some problems, and overall we can say that some enhancements are applied on the software. Also, alongside this upgraded version, a new content library has been released as well. A new content library called Autodesk US English Residential Content for Revit 2026. Now first, let's talk about this content library and then we can move on towards having a discussion regarding the new enhancements that have been applied on the software in this version. Now guys, as for the first point, this content library has been created based on or according to US standards. So it would be installed and saved in the Imperial folder. So when we install this, let me show you this. When we install this, we need to enter the C drive here, program data, Autodesk folder, RVT 2026, then entering library, and here we can find Imperial. Open up, US. Now, basically guys, here we got, in this version, we got some new objects. And we'll be trying to discuss some of them, actually. Let me also open up the metric folder. For example, if I open up casework, here we only have 4 folders in metric. But in Imperial, we got more, as you can see. So in other words, we got a new library. We got more objects here. For example, we got some shelves here. See? So actually new objects. Now, in order to find out what exactly has been added, what kind of objects, we have a couple of files that we can use. You can find them inside System Families folder. Now, previously we had 2 files in this folder, even in metric. Let me show this to you. See, we got the same folder in metric. And take a look at this. We already got some files, some objects. I guess these are railings. Now, take a look at the files that we got here, though, guys. Here we have both loadable and system families. So we can use these in various projects for different purposes. Now, let's see if I can give you an example here. Residential pack. All right, take a look at this. These would be this is our new library, basically. For example, for the kitchen, we have these boxes. Well, we don't necessarily have to use them only in kitchen. We can use them basically in any other area that we are able to. And by the way, guys, these objects are line-based. And as you can see, we are easily able to control them, manage them however we want. And basically, these are quite effective and helpful in a designing phase. Now, some of the objects here are completely new. For example, these ones, and whichever we want, we can easily select and use. Well, we can just select them and use Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V to paste them in our files. Well, basically, we got more objects that we can use. And again, guys, remember, all the objects and overall the library itself has completely been designed based on US standards. So, for example, this one here is an American-designed equipment that we can easily use in our projects, if needs be. And although the units that we can see here are set in inches, when we enter the families inside of a metric file, they would change accordingly. However, the renaming should be done manually, though. Now, this is not that important, honestly. Now, guys, this file could be extremely useful if you're working as a, for example, freelancer on a collaborative project with a company in America. Because as I said, these objects, all of these objects are created or designed based on US standards. Now we've got more than 100 objects here. Let's see what else we have. Okay. You got all system family, then various stairs. Again, system family library. Let me open this up here. We have different types of walls, stairs, railings, floors. What else? Topographies. Yeah, we can just easily use the type that we want. Different types of railings here. Let me enter 3D. Yeah, we basically have many different and interesting items and objects that we can easily use based on what we need. See, all of these are different types of railings. And guys, because these are system families, we can use transfer project standards to use them in our projects. So again, different walls, different floors, topographies, roofs. And remember guys, this content library should be installed completely separately. Separate from the upgraded version. Yeah, you just need to download it and then install it separately on your systems. Alright guys, now let's talk about the enhancements that we have inside, in this version of our software. Now, the first enhancement that we'll be discussing would be regarding accelerated views. Honestly, this was quite predictable. Now, first off, guys, accelerated view is actually a new feature that has been added to Revit 2026, and we talked about it completely in our video regarding Revit 2026. Now, I'm sure you already know this, but let me just turn on its icon. Okay, here we go. And well, if we go with the second option, the icon would disappear and we would only have access to this item from our right click. Well, I'm actually more comfortable with this. Well, this option would deactivate the item completely. Anyway, I'm going to do a right click and select Accelerated Graphics. Now, as we discussed before, Accelerated View is a new feature added in Revit, and it has made the navigation process better. Now, let's select it here and find out how exactly it has gotten more enhanced in this version. Now, first off, Autodesk has actually claimed that the navigation speed has been increased by 10% compared to Revit 2026 version 0.1. Also, as for another thing, now when we select the elements, the other elements, or actually the transparency in other elements, would remain intact. This way, we can understand the spaces and overall our model a little bit better than before. Now, let me show this to you. If I go ahead and activate Accelerated Graphics, as you can see, the other elements would remain transparent. All right, all good. As for another thing, crop view. We are able to work with crop view now. To be more precise, we are able to use crop view to specify a boundary, even a small one, and we'll navigate only inside this boundary. Now, this is good. This is very good, though it's not without problem just yet. Like, for example, the sweeps are not really following the crop region. Now, guys, if you want to gain further information regarding this item and, well, actually many more, I recommend checking our Revit 2026 video. I guess it's about 3 or 4 hours. And in that, we've completely discussed all the new items and features that we have in Revit 2026. And to be honest, guys, it is actually quite imperative for us to be up to date, completely up to date, or at least as much as possible. Because guys, if you understand what's happening right now and if you got familiar with all the new features, obviously, in the future, you'll have an even easier job working with the new versions. Right guys, that will be all for the enhancements that have been applied on Accelerated Graphics in Revit 2026 version 0.2. Next up, we can talk about Dynamo. In this version, Dynamo has also been upgraded. More specifically, it has been upgraded to version 3.5.2. Now, not only some of the bugs and problems are now removed and resolved, but also some of the Dynamo items are now working with more stability. Now, guys, if you want complete information regarding the matter, you can check the Dynamo website itself and check the release note segments. And there, everything that has been happening in this version is mentioned. Take a look at this from Dynamo. I'm going to click on About. See, it says that the version has been upgraded to 3.5.2. Well, guys, again, if you need more information, you can go ahead and check the Dynamo website itself. Alright, guys, moving on. Next up, we'll be discussing export CAD. Now, previously, when we wanted to create a CAD export, no, guys, let me just mention this real quick. Recently, an item has been added to Revit called Export in Background. Now, guys, we talked about this item plenty before. We said that by activating it, we would have made ourselves able to work on other processes, to go through other processes while the exporting process was happening simultaneously, okay? You got what I said? I just said by activating the item. This means that by default, the item is deactivated. And well, obviously, sometimes we might have just started the exporting process without activating the item. Let's say we just forgot. In such cases, we would have just waited for the process to be over or cancel it and redo the whole thing, this time with the item being activated. In Revit 2026 version 0.2, though, by default, this item is activated. So this is another enhancement that has been applied on the most recent version of the software. Alright, guys, moving on. Next up, we have a mechanical enhancement. So let me just open up a template, a related template. We're going to talk about MEP fabrications, guys. So select fabrications, set this on match break. Now here, give me supply, also vent. Okay, that'll do actually. As the point is, in Revit 2026 version 0.2, the assemblies would automatically become unique ones. Let me elaborate on this. When we use these items, guys, to, for example, sketch something, and then when we try creating exports for various reasons, actually, like, for example, for CNC or optimizing nested process, basically anything. Okay, and then for some work, some processes that you might need CAM or NC, in Revit 2026 version 0.2, when you create or try creating the export, in case the items and components had similar and the same assembly codes to them, they would automatically become Unix. So you don't really have to do any rechecks in this matter, regarding this matter. Next up, we have a structural enhancement. Let me open up a structural file and try explaining myself through an example. Entering the Structure tab, isolate it, select Structural Foundation, load this in. For the dimensions, give me 800, 2400, and another 2400. All right, let's set this here. And then entering structural plans. Also, I'm going to add a section. 120 for the scale. Now, I'm going to try adding some rebars here, guys. Let me just select one. Okay. Set this on fixed. Quantity 10. Okay. Now let's change the diameter. Set the next one perpendicularly. Now, guys, we got a panel up here called Constraints. Basically, here we can define some constraints. For example, if you go with Edit Constraint, we would be able to modify these. Now, in this version, we are able to work on several views simultaneously. In other words, we can switch in between them. Like, I'm going to set this on 40. Then I can, for example, switch to Plan and continue my work here, okay? Also, we have the ability to undo in case we made a mistake or something. Well, I mean, unlike before, we don't really need to cancel anything anymore. Now, let's continue modifying this whole thing. For example, I'm going to set these two, both of them on 40. Switch to Plan again. And in case everything was okay, we can hit Finish. Guys, the thing is, modifying the rebars and reinforcements in structural projects is actually quite important, and now the process is quite simple. Next up, we can talk about an enhancement that we got when it comes to working with text. And to be honest, it is quite interesting, and if your job demands working with notes and text a lot, well, it could be quite useful as well. Let's try setting a text here to see what I'm exactly talking about. As for the text, Revit 2026.2. And you know what? Let me continue the text. Autodesk test. Now guys, most of the times when we're working with a text or a paragraph, let me copy this and paste it a few times like this. Now guys, previously, in order to move through the text, like move through the words, we had to click each time. For example, we could have used the arrow keys to move through the words letter by letter like this. Now we can hold the control key and then use the arrow keys again to jump somehow through the words. And the points would be considered as the end of the line or end of the paragraph. So if we use the same technique, we jump through the point. Now we can even jump through the lines, guys. See? Now, guys, as I said, this technique, you can say jumping technique, jumping through the words and lines technique, is actually quite useful when it comes to working on tags or working with notes. Alright guys, that would be the end of our discussion regarding the enhancements applied on Revit 2026 version 0.2. Now we can talk about some of the bugs that are removed, or we can say some solved problems. As an example, generally there was this idea, this belief in between the users that Revit 2026 faces some, you can say, security-related issues. And now we can claim that we don't have such problems and issues anymore. Also, guys, in energy analysis, we would have needed to go through phasing processes. The problem was, during energy analysis, such processes weren't really possible, neither in Revit 2026 nor in Revit 2026.1. In this version, though, if I open up Energy Settings tab, you would see that not only phasing is possible, but also it works perfectly fine. Next up, guys, if you're working with Autodesk Docs or ACC, we got something for you in coordination models. First off, the problem with this segment was that after signing in and signing out, the Change Palette tab wasn't being displayed correctly in the next step. But now we simply do not have such a problem anymore. I mean, after signing in and signing out, the Change Palette window would be displayed completely correctly. And we also had another problem when it came to creating CAD, DWG, or DXF exports. Now, previously, I mean, in the older versions, when we wanted to do this, like for example, creating a DXF export, the patterns might have been displayed inaccurately, especially when we had a transparent element. But now this bug has been removed. Now, we already talked about the enhancement that has been applied on PDF export. Early on, we said that by default, export in background is activated. Now, we also had another problem with this that we don't have anymore. Previously, during the PDF exporting process, after activating exporting background, if we were to cancel this, the software would have crashed. But now everything happens with more stability. I mean, we can easily do the exporting process and we can cancel basically whenever we want it. Also, the transfer that needs to happen in between the PDF and the exporting background would happen a lot faster. Alright guys, we also had a couple of problems with families as well. As an example, let me try selecting something like this. Now, previously, if we were to select extrusion, then sketch, then when we wanted to specify the depth, we would have faced some problems. But now we can do this easily without any problems. Also, we had some problems, some bugs when it came to applying modifications on sweeps. But again, those problems and bugs are gone. Now, again, guys, there was no problems when we wanted to use the item itself, only when we wanted to apply modifications, okay? Right, guys, our next debugging would be regarding MEP again. Thing is, there was a bug up to Revit 2026.1 even. The problem was with calculating the pressure in pipes and ducts, guys. Well, to be honest, mostly it would have just crashed. Now, we won't be having any crashes. the process would go through completely and without any problems. And also, all the calculations would be done completely accurately. Right? The next debugging has been applied on transfer project standards, guys. As you already know, we can use this item for transferring the system families from an open file into our current one. Now, if we were to select or just do this whole transfer thing for materials though, all the materials, like even the problematic materials, you know what, I think I need to explain what a problematic material is. Now, by problematic materials, guys, I mean, for example, the ones that contain empty fields. Like, for example, the fields should actually have a value to them, but they are empty. Now, in previous versions, such materials would have been transferred inside our current project, current file as well, and, well, this could have created more problems. Like, the file would have become quite heavy, or it would have just crashed. But now, we have quite a detectable stability. Also, guys, previously we couldn't really use languages such as, for example, the Asian languages for searching for something in Project Browser. But now Autodesk claims that we don't have this problem anymore, guys. Also, guys, if you are working on a collaborative project, more specifically if you are working with Cloudbase, should know that settings related to Revit Cloud work sharing has a new, or, well, we can say different path now. Let me try to show you the path, the location inside the new version. Obviously, Drive C, Program Files, Autodesk, then Revit 2026. And then here we can find a folder called UPI. Well, we can find their settings here now. Let me open this up. See? There we go. All right, let me close this down, guys. Next up in structure. In bar combinations, now I guess the Chinese language would be supported. And yeah, guys, I guess that would be all. That would be the end of our discussion regarding all the debuggings that we have in Revit 2026 version 0.2. Alright guys, hope you all enjoyed our today's session. As always, don't forget to practice. See you next time. Goodbye and good luck.